been a pastor here at this church for about a year and a half. This church has a particular history here in East Harlem. In 1969, a political party called the Young Lords, who were the Puerto Rican counterpart to the Black Panthers, occupied this building to offer free breakfast programs, free community clothing, free health programs, free cultural programs. So I don't know if you noticed, the street is called Young Lord's Way. And part of that is because of the history. And a lot of the consequences of the work that they did is the reasons why today we have free breakfast programs in public schools. It's the reason why hospitals began to take on health initiatives around substance abuse. Because this was also around a time where they were not treating substance abuse. The Young Lords also took over Lincoln Hospital around the same time because they were not providing the resources and then to serve the community that was in need. So 50 years later, because this year is the 50th anniversary of all of these movements, I've been pastor here and I have been trying really hard to regain that kind of history of how we live life in service of the community and we live life in service of building a better world for all of us, where we can all thrive, right? And so here at FSUMC, the People's Church, that is our goal, that is our hope, that we believe that when 2 or 3 are gathered, there is power, there is love, there is transformation, and miracles happen, right? It's super important to have conversations like this, even as intimate as this, to be able to really get to know one another, to be able to really ask questions, because at the end of the day, you know, we're not asking everyone to know everything. What we're asking for everyone is to be willing to learn, to be willing to take a part, to know that we all have a responsibility to take a part in the time that we're living. So I just offer that brief history and that brief context for where we are and why we're here and why these conversations are important, not just to me, but in light of the times in which we're living for the sake of the world, for the sake of our communities, for the sake of New York City, but definitely for the sake of the world. This is going to be a very informal conversation. I'm also grateful for Gail Walker, who I've heard about for years and really have only had a chance to meet, and vice versa. We've only got a chance to meet today for the first time. Literally, I've gone to Cuba, and they're like, "Oh, Gail's coming next week," and then I'll go to the office over here. Oh, she's in Cuba, right? And so I'm grateful that Gail is here. Gail is the executive director of IFCO, Pastors for Peace, and I just want to invite her to offer a little bit of history and context about what is Pastors for Peace. I'm not sure that everyone here is aware.
Pastors for Peace project, which has really been an opportunity for us to talk about U.S. foreign policy and the role that it's played in the struggles in different parts of the world. We got the start of doing the Pastors for Peace work back in 1988 when we were taking a delegation to Nicaragua, trying to help people learn and understand the reality there. Ronald Reagan was in the White House declaring that the Sandinistas were the terrorists and that the Contra, the U.S.-backed Contra, were the good guys. And we learned firsthand that that was the exact opposite when a passenger ferry that we were on was attacked by Nicaraguan Contra. And there were 2 people who were killed in that attack and 29 people who were wounded. My father, who was the founding director of IFCO, was one of the wounded. And he conceived of the idea of responding with act of faith, and came up with the idea of Pastors for Peace as a way to encourage people to learn more about the reality, to travel to Nicaragua and understand that reality. We use the formation of a caravan traveling through different parts of the United States, stopping in different communities, educating people about the reality, but also collecting symbolic forms of humanitarian aid that was then delivered to Nicaragua. So 6 months after that attack, on Christmas Eve, the first caravan arrived. And we've been caravanning ever since. And there's several people. I'm looking at Michael Johnson, who was the president of, our newly elected president of the board of directors at IFCO, and Eugene and Nora and others, have been a part of these caravans. that we've been organizing to not only Nicaragua, but to El Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala and Chiapas. And then in 1992, all again with the idea of educating people, really understanding who our neighbors to the south are and what the relationship is between the United States and these various places in the world vis-a-vis the U.S. foreign policy. And that's why actually when we talk about the current issue of immigration and when there's, this fussing about, Mexico, and Mexico's going to build the wall, and who are these people at the border, and, and Trump and all of his rhetoric, we've got to really look and see what kinds of foreign policy initiatives really help to create the dynamics that have led right to this, to the tragedy that's taking place, not only at the southern border, but, we could talk about, African immigrants and from various parts of the world, but the U.S. foreign policy is often at the root of that. So part of Pastors for Peace has always been to educate people. We saw it as an action education project, taking action by traveling, seeing for ourselves the reality, but also educating people along the way. So we've been organizing those delegations and caravans since 1988. But in 1992, we began working in Cuba. And in part, that was really at the initiative of Cuban pastors. The founding pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Marianao, thank you, I'm a different country, Honduras, right? Reverend Raul Suarez, who we love and adore, just a tremendous icon, really, in many ways. He had a relationship with my father, and the dialogue, as I understand, was, listen, you need to think about organizing delegations to Cuba to really highlight the injustice that's being perpetrated against the Cuban people through the blockade embargo policy. And so in 1992, the first caravan to Cuba took off. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really sure that we were going to make it through. I thought, I'm not sure, but I'm going to follow. I'm going to be a good soldier. And certainly we did break that blockade, and we've been doing it ever since. And we go to Cuba without requesting or applying for a license, because we feel that to ask permission to do the work that we do in the name of God, in the name of justice, in the name of consciousness is not, we don't have to ask for permission to love our neighbor. We like to say love is our license. And so we've been organizing these caravans to Cuba since then. We've now organized 30 caravans. We're getting ready to organize a 31st this summer. I want to encourage, and I'm looking at the two youngest people in the room, to think about coming with us to Cuba. We need, there you go. We need to definitely, we want our older folk too, but it's always good to have young people that are really, understanding and appreciating that history. So that's what we've done. We've known Izett. I was laughing because she was saying, I'm in New York. And I was like, last time that you were in New York, we did a little crazy driving tour of Manhattan, just trying to give a little flavor of the city. But we've had the opportunity to be at Izett's home turf on many occasions. But it's really wonderful to see her here and to hear more about the center, the Martin Luther King Center, and the work that you all have been doing. I'll just end by saying that, at least in terms of our connection with our Cuban counterparts, we have historically had a relationship with the Martin Luther King Center and the Ebenezer Baptist Church. You get the theme there, right? Related to Martin Luther King. Anyway, and so that's been important, an important relationship, and one that we've always cherished and appreciated. And we continue to organize delegations outside of the caravans to go down to Cuba, and we often partner with the MLK Center. One of the other things that we do related to Cuba is facilitate a process for people that are interested in going to Cuba to study medicine. Cuba has this tremendous scholarship program, and we're blessed to be the organization to facilitate that process for people here in the United States. So anybody who knows young people that are interested in studying medicine, please let us know, because we want to encourage people to consider Cuba as a destination for their studies. So it's just great to see my sister Izett here, and want to hear more about some of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear and see how many people here doing something good for the society and for the world. So thank you so much to be here. Well, my name is Izett. I am pastor for the Presbyterian Church in Cuba. This year is my 15th year as a pastor, so yeah. At the same time, I'm working in Martin Luther King Center. I'm a member of the board of the Martin Luther King Center. It's interesting because the Martin Luther King Center gave me the opportunity to open my mind to connect to other people around the world, to think and doing the same thing that I think that I have to do. So Martin Luther King Center is an organization in Cuba to try to have the opportunity to training people in many different things that we need to be, we like to say, better citizens in Cuba. So, Raúl Suárez was the pastor in the Methodist Church, and in the 80s he was in touch with the theory of the liberation in Latin America, and also with the popular education by Paulo Freire. He was learning about Martin Luther King or the philosophy of the non-violence philosophy. So he said, well, if we have something here to try to training people in all these issues can be good for the church, but also for the society. So we are very focused in the educational programs. We have a lot of different kinds of educational programs, basically in the popular education and popular reading of the Bible. So for many years, we was training people around the country, people from the church, but also people from the society, teachers, psychology, communicators, journalists, many different kinds of people. 25 years before that, after that, say, well, what we can do with all these people training in this kind of philosophy, in this kind of vision of the life, in this kind of, the people want to do something more. Because when you are in touch with the popular education or when in touch with the theory of the liberation, you think that it's not enough anything that you're doing from the church, but also for the society. So we connect all these people, and today we work with two networks, real network, with real person, not in the media, but real person in the whole country. One network from popular educators, and one network that we call Faith for Cuba. It's for people from the churches. The point is that we try that all the people who are training in this kind of education and training that we have, try to do something in the community where they live. So now many people is connecting to try to do something in the community, because we think that in the small community is when you can have more chances. You can motivate more people, you can do more things, and you don't have to expect what the government can do if you can do it by yourself. So, we are a lot of different programs in the different communities in Cuba. At the same time, we have a big solidarity program in two lines. One line is the solidarity with Latin America, and we are part, I think, that all the integration experience in the Latin America. We work with many social movement, organization, ecumenical organization in Latin America, to try to educate in the political way, and popular education, and communitarian work. And also we work with the leaders of this organization to try to connect to everybody, to try to do something different in Latin America. And many people from Latin America come to the Martin Luther King Center for training in many things. So. And the other line is the solidarity with U.S. So we receive a lot of group from U.S. The challenge is how the people from U.S. can see the reality in Cuba, the real Cuba, the real life in Cuba, the real way that we live there. Not the thing that you listen or watch on the TV or the media, on the radio, on the internet, but the real Cuba. So when they return here, they can talk about Cuba and say, okay, this is Cuba, and this is the way that the U.S. political against Cuba affected the life of the many Cubans. And the last year was very difficult. Because many groups decide don't come to Cuba, just because all the political
leaders.
Exactly, that the government here in the U.S. have against Cuba. But anyway, we have a lot of different groups in the center. IFCO now is bring a lot of group, many interesting groups, the people who are interested in social justice, in the black people's rights, and we have the opportunity to not only to talk about our experience, but to learn about the experience that all these people have. For us, it's one of the most important programs in the Solidarity program, because even when our government has problems, we keep in relationship with many organizations here. And we show to the world that even when the government has all this trouble, the people to people can be connecting, working, reflecting together. So this is one of the most important issues that we have with the solidarity with the U.S. program. So now you know that the government here in the U.S. tried to, is it asphyxia?
Squeeze,
Yeah.
strangle.
Yeah. Our economy, we really had bad time. You said that you was in Cuba 2 weeks ago. Well, in November, the country almost collapsed because the U.S. government closed all the opportunity that we had to receive cheap with petrol from Venezuela or other countries. And the country almost collapsed. The Cuban government, I think that they are doing well. They are trying to, in the middle of all this chaos, to try to don't affect more the people. But anyway, it's very difficult for us. So, all the opportunity that you have to talk with people here about the reality in Cuba is good for us. Because I hope that someday someone understands that it's everything that the government U.S. doing against the government in Cuba affecting directly to the people in Cuba. So, for example, I'm here because my church chose me for the program. The Presbyterian Church here in the U.S. has the peacemaking program, and my national church chose me to participate in this program. The program started in September of last year, but just because my visa, I couldn't be here in September, so I am here now. And I have went to Mexico for 3 times for my visa.
Now that happened because they closed the U.S. Embassy.
Because we don't have embassy in Havana anymore, because the government closed the embassy in Havana.
Trump administration.
The U.S. government.
U.S. government, yeah. So I went to Mexico for my interview.
3 times.
The first time he said, I was talking with him and I said, the day that I had my interview, about, I don't know, 20 Cuban was there. And everybody has no as an answer. And you can imagine to spend money for the ticket, spend money to rent room there, food, transportation, and when you go to interview, you have to rent for a week, because if they say yes, the interview is on Monday or Tuesday, and they give you a passport on Friday. So the people rent for a week.
Right.
So when they say no, anyway you have to stay there for a week, because you can't change your ticket.
Oh,
And there's a price to apply for the visa.
Yeah,
So what is it?
yeah. You have to pay for apply to the visa, and you lose your money if they say no. They don't return your money.
How much is the visa?
The visa is about 260 something, but yeah, but for the Cuban it's too much.
Yes, for one entry, right.
It's just for the interview, to go to the interview, and they can say no and you lose your money. So I returned to Cuba, and I was expecting that they email me for my visa, and that never happened. So I have a lot of friends here, and the friends have communication with the senators, and the senators in Chicago and Long Island call every time to the embassy in Mexico to ask for my visa, and they said, oh yes, the visa is here, it's ready in October 2, the second, and I have my answer for my visa in November. So, and I have people to work help me. You can imagine the people that don't have anybody to help them in Cuba, because when your family invite you, they don't have contact with any organization or senator or nothing. It's just your family to invite you. So it's very difficult. For us, it's almost the humanitarian crisis, because many family don't have the opportunity to be exactly together, and many people lost the opportunity to be with their daughter when they have a child, or when the mother is sick, or it's really complicated. So I have to go to Mexico again to bring my passport to the embassy, and you can't go directly to the embassy. I have to list my passport in the DHL agency. It's DHL
Oh, yeah.
agency, and the agency took my passport and been to the embassy.
The DHL agency in Mexico?
In Mexico.
So you go into Mexico and you have to get the
Just
DHL?
just to bring my passport there. So the process is a week, and then I have to run again to the agency, not to the embassy, to pick my passport. Yeah. It's crazy. people. It's crazy. And it's just because they decide to close the embassy and they make worse everything for the Cuban people. So, I'm talking about that because I want that you know how important is the solidarity with Cuba from here. How important is that you becomes together a group to try to do something from here in favor of Cuba. No, it's just because it's Cuba, no, it's because it's the country that I live. It's just because the justice. Why the government from U.S. has to every time to try to kill the society in Cuba? Why? What is the big mistake that we made for that? Nothing. Just to be a different country, just to have a different system, just to want to have a system that the most part of the people have the opportunity to be, to have, to live with dignity. So, yeah.